this Zatek Cha?
An evil vizier who will claim my rightful throne if I don't stop him.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday, the Tidarium Hanger. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the unreleased prototypes from the Droids line. Last week we did the released part of the Droid line, and this is reproductions made by Procustomfigures. They are not cheap, but I'll have a link down below where you can get yours. But I'm glad that he's made them. I'm glad I picked them up and just pretty much done with all the Droid stuff and pretty much done with vintage Star Wars. So kind of nice to put a bow on it all and call it a day. But I'm going to go through each one of these one at a time. I'm going to take a look at these. We're going to talk about them and more coming up. So the first figure I want to take a look at here is Mongo, this guy here. He is literally just an advanced character, advanced version of Kez Iban. Kez Iban is one I've had in my collection for a long time, and turns out he's a prince, and he's the Mongo. He had lost his memory for a while there. I think that's how the story went. And yeah, people do point out that this figure is shorter than the Kez Iban figure, but we'll get Kez Iban out of here, and we'll take a look at Mongo. Now he's built similarly to those of the Emperor and some of them, and I probably should glue this in, but I feel like it's much different because the way it's hollow in there, I don't know if that's exactly how it was supposed to be made from the prototypes, or that's just something that Mark did on his own, just a design idea that he had. But anyway, it's not solid, it's hollow legs, so that's interesting. But these pieces do seem to fall off. All I gotta do is glue them back in there, but I'm not worried about it. Once he makes it back on his shelf, I'm probably not gonna move him forever. So, but there's his face sculpt. He does look different than the Kez Iban figure. He has this back piece here, so the head is independent of this back piece. So that's interesting. And he's got his robe. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's still 5 POA, 5 points of articulation. And he's got this giant staff, which is kind of cool. So an interesting looking figure. I really have to be honest, this is one of the things, like one of the top figures that come to mind when I think of this era, when I think of the unreleased prototypes of this, and I think of this figure here. And he's kind of cool looking, he's kind of interesting, and it's funny that I've been looking at these for a couple of years, but it took me actually buying them to watch all the episodes and find out he really is the same, the same person as Kez Iban, and I think that's kind of cool. This is what the coins look like now. I don't think you can get the coins anymore from Procustomfigures. And you might ask, why are these silver? Why are these coins not gold? And because these are prototypes. The only ones that were cast in silver, which was probably easier because they were just manufacturing all of the Power of the Force ones and all that going on. And they just did that. The gold and bronze ones for the other lines, they're the production colors. So they weren't cast in production colors. I wonder if they'll ever do the production colors. Probably not, but that would be interesting. I'd probably buy another set in production colors just because. Okay, next up we're going to take a look at Mongo Baobob, and the coin says that he's the adventuring young man, merchant, who travels the galaxies looking for new worlds and great riches. There's his coin. These are really hard to read. It is really hard to read these little coins, but they have interesting little stuff about these guys. So there he is. He is one of the Droids masters, and yeah, it's a kind of a fun storyline with the Mongo Baobob, and this one storyline did feel a little bit more like Star Wars than the rest of the shows, the other two storylines, but still kind of fun to have them. And it is cool that they're making these. They do feel like actual Star Wars figures. The quality is very high with these figures, and especially like the standard ones. It does feel like Kenner made these, and it's fun buying these, and they feel brand new instead of getting like 40-year-old figures. And if they would have kept this line going, these probably would have been some of the cheapest figures out there, because they probably would have been on clearance also, which is kind of the problem with the first 12. They went on clearance pretty fast, and nobody wanted them, so that's why these didn't get made. But now, here we are 40 years later, people want him. But it's a fun storyline, fun character. He's pretty cool overall, but kind of a simple, plain Star Wars guy. And his costume, it looks a little futuristic. All right, next we're going to get into Admiral Screed here. And I forgot to mention on Mongo Baobob, they just reused the, is it a Zuckuss or Forlom blaster. And on this one, they just reused another Star Wars blaster. I think it was one of the Hoth guys or something. Is that their blaster? With Screed. Yeah, I didn't have any trouble with him standing at my display or over there, but right here, for whatever reason, he's having a little trouble standing. Okay, there is his coin. Get a light on that subject. I'm not sure if later on in editing I'll actually be able to read these. They are so hard to read. But it says he's a ruthless Imperial officer and President Advisory of the Droids R2 and C-3PO, whatever. He was a bad guy. He was bad to the bone. He was kind of mean. It was actually kind of cool. It was cool to have kind of a scary, ominous character in the line. And it's funny too, because I think all the rest of the bad guys come off as bumbling idiots, except this guy, for the most part. I mean, they were trying to target a young audience, so they didn't want him to be too scary, I'm sure. But this is probably the scariest of the ones. Give him just a little bit. Now it's kind of interesting. He's kind of like a cross between a standard figure and like the Emperor with the robe and all that, because you see how they did the feet. He's got the robe and all that, but he does come with the gun that is kind of a reused gun, and he's got this eye patch on him, this tiny little hat. Drew some inspiration from military on this figure. Pretty cool looking overall. He's got an overall gray with a dark gray outlines and stuff, and then the kind of the white on there. Now, I'm not pulling the pictures from Dallas Vintage Toys because they did a video. They had the actual prototypes, but all these are pretty darn close, and it seemed like a bit of a waste of time doing it with the Droids. It'd be a waste of time to do it with these two because they're just so close to the actual prototypes, and Mark did a great job with these, so very, very impressed. Admiral Screed. Next up, we're going to take a look at Jessica Mead. She's a skilled cargo pilot and the courageous and outspoken friend of R2 and C-3PO. Here is her coin. I just read the back of it right there. Now, her complexion is much lighter, and that the prototype was also much lighter than the TV show. So that's one of those weird things where the show or the Kenner kind of got it wrong from the show. But anyway, still cool to have the figure, still cool to have the character. She only comes with this blaster, and I'm not sure if her or Mongo Baobob get this. One of them get this. Putting all the accessories back in the bag because I'm afraid of losing them on display. That sounds stupid, but I am literally terrified of losing these accessories. Even though most of them are just reuses of vintage ones, I still want to keep them tucked away. But yeah, she's interesting looking. Let's see if we can get a close up on that face. Gonna zoom in on that face. Let's get some light on that face. But that's not a pretty figure. Although the character on the show was much prettier than this. This is not a very good likeness. But that's how they did them back then. But weird thing is, her holes in her feet, they do all have holes in her feet. They're tiny, so you have to get a special stand for her. Maybe a mask stand would work for her. I'd have to check that out, a Kenner mask stand. That'd be a good idea. I should check into that. But I don't need one in my display. But she doesn't stand on her own at all. So it's just her feet are so small. And anyway, that's Jessica Mead. Pretty cool figure. Glad we got her. This is Kleb Zelic, the greedy and dishonest mine operator. One of the biggest crooks of the galaxy. Here's his coin. It shows him with his weird pose. And then here is the back. Usually the camera can pick it up and I can read it a little bit better. Later on, maybe. I don't know. Anyhow, he does come with Bosk's gun, but it's recolored to black. So black version of Bosk's gun. That's kind of cool. But really, he doesn't hold it. I think that in the pictures, he was able to hold it in the promo pics he put together. But I can't get him to hold it, which is another reason I'm just going to put these all back in a baggie. And how often do you come across a black version of Bosk's gun? Almost never. And that's It's lazy. It's what Kenner did, but at the same time, it's still kind of fun. All right, this guy here, he's got a puffy shirt, a cool futuristic kind of space visor going on right there. I get bounty hunter vibes from this guy. That he's like a bounty hunter. He's kind of got the, well, he's not. Most bounty hunters are in pretty good shape. He's not in good shape at all. He's living a good life. He's a fat cat, so he's got it going on. It's got the green, got some brown in here. It's interesting color breakups. This would definitely have been a peg warmer at the store. Definitely. This is not like, oh man, I gotta have that figure. Definitely would have been a peg warmer, but it's still interesting and cool that they made the figure. And there he is, Kleb Zelic, and yeah, I'm glad I got him. It's just one of those. I'm glad he made all of them because they are kind of cool looking back. Okay, this is Gaff, which I think is a real cool looking figure, and he is an insect-like alien that acts as an aid to Governor Coog. Governor Coom, say it right. Okay, these coins just are so hard to read. Especially, I got a lot of light on them too, but low light, hard to read too. It also says on here he is a deadly alien. And then there's, if it picks it up, the hard to read coins. Anyway, here he is. Really a cool looking figure. This is where, in my opinion, though, strange, goofy poses with the arms out and the elbows poked out do make it not fun for play, but more interesting for display. And I think his only accessory is his cape. I believe I'm correct on that. The only accessory that I see for him is his cape, but he's real skinny. Really skinny dude. But yeah, really cool though. It's just kind of different, and I like different. I like having something a little different in there. So mixing them all in, he does seem kind of bad and mean and evil and all that good stuff, but evil to the point of a kids show evil, and it's not super evil. But I like this, the cape. It does feel akin to the Superpowers line, and he does have the 5 points of articulation, so he can do some stuff with these crazy looking arms, but not much really. It's so much fun to have these. When I understand the prototype ones, there's nowhere near the level of being able to handle them. The parts fall off because they're prototypes, so they're just very, very early. They're not production samples. And anyhow, fun to have these and be able to do some stuff and manipulate them instead of just only be able to look at them as prototypes in cases. But there's Gaff. Let's go on to the next one. This is General Kung. He's an Imperial ally, and he is the leader of the criminal band and seeking power in the Rune system. Rune. Don't ruin this for him. This is one of the shinier ones. It's not... Yeah, well, I guess most of these are pretty darn shiny. This one just seems shinier than the rest of them we were looking at, the coin-wise. So, this is another one where I do not know how he's supposed to hold this accessory. I guess maybe like this. He's got the key to the city. I don't even know what this accessory is, to tell you the truth. So not all of them got new accessories, but he did. And he probably would have been another shelf warmer out there warming up the shelves. That's probably what he would have done. But it's kind of cool. He was another one of the bad guys, and he helped out the Empire, and that's what he did in a semi-military yet space outfit. And it's strange. He's got these giant pockets on the back of him. So interesting design that they came up with for this guy. And so it is kind of cool seeing new figures. Really, when you look at this wave, nothing was an actual straight repack of Kenner from back in the day. So I think that was good. And that they all look different. His face, his head is huge. And just giant face on him. They do have professional paint apps on it. He's got his yellow shoulder pads. And again, a figure I don't think kids would have had much fun with. I don't think kids would have been excited. They would have wanted the Mongo Baobob. They would have probably wanted the Admiral Sledge. They probably would have wanted the Gaff just because he's a cool looking figure. They probably would have wanted a couple of him. Just have like a Gaff army. But they would have wanted a Mongo Baobob. They would not have wanted him. And they would not have wanted that Zeb guy. Kleb Zelic. They probably would not have won with that Kleb Zelic. Alright, so we have two versions of Vlix. Now, the one with the paint on the toes, I believe, is the Kenner. So I think I got it set up for the one on the right here is the Kenner version, and then the other one is the Glasslight version. I think so. So I think I got that right. So I've already talked about this figure, covered this figure in the last video. Really just wanted to show the differences between these two. I don't think the back's much different, and it's really just subtle light colors. How much research do you think this guy put in, Mark Poon put into all this to get these figures in to such detail, to the variations of them, the slight color variations between each version? And here is the Vlix villain coin, and here is the back, and we'll see how good I do at actually reading this. The Froms. So he is basically the Froms henchman, and he is their companion and watchdog and the best dressed gangster around. That's what they say about him. That's Vlix, and yeah, he's pretty cool. These actually, he only charges $70 each for. I'm pretty sure he produced them at much higher numbers because a lot of people just want to buy the Vlix, or maybe he just made the mold so long ago and he just keeps making them. But yeah, they were $70 each, which sounds like a lot of money. Well, the rest of them were $80 each, so I guess he is a pretty good value. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this quick look at the unproduced prototypes of the Star Wars Droids 1985 toy line. And yeah, I'm glad he's made these. I'm glad that Mark Poon over there at Procustomfigures made these. And why do I jump on these and buy these right now? Because although he's making them now, there's no guarantee he'll be making them 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Who knows? So I picked up the ones I want. I'm happy with them, very happy with them. They're in my collection, and I've moved on. Now, there's a couple other things he might make that I might be interested in, but for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied with my vintage collection. Let me know what you guys think about these. Let me know what you think about vintage Star Wars collecting in general in the comments below, and like and subscribe. Have a wonderful Retro Wednesday. Teddy Hanger out.
Jam!
I'm finished! Save me!
Thank you.
Oh!
And I have arranged for a new ship and an escort for you, Jessica Mead.
Excellent. Soon, his fate shall be shared by those meddlesome revolutionaries that
Baobob's with Arnyan? He survived?
We should inform Governor Coon.
challenge my rule.
Your rule? Kung, you are only governor of Tontum, a mere province.
I run this entire planet.
Hang on, 3PO. Oh, no.